Hello, I'm Jam, and welcome. So this is the Electric Zine Maker, made by a fantastic unconventional artist, Natalie Lawhead, aka Alien Melon. Their work is super fun. If you haven't heard of them, please go check them out. There's going to be all kinds of links for you to check out in the description with this one. So if you haven't heard of this fun toy, you're in for a treat. I've only used it once before for a little poetry zine, so we'll be learning some stuff together. So why am I making a zine today? Well, I have watched a stream yesterday that Aditi Valeti hosted, and it was about how to make an engaging setting really quickly. I'll leave a link to the VOD below. Catching just the second half of that stream was enough to inspire me to make my own entry into the Tiny World Jam. There were only 3 days left until submissions closed when I worked on this. On top of all that, I thought it would be cool to try to document how I put it together. So here we are. I decided I just wanted this to be mainly a handful of story hooks rather than a very fleshed out setting. So the Electric Zine Maker has all kinds of neat little tools for all kinds of fold and cut mini zines. There are lots of weird little stuff for drawing with a bunch of filters you can try out. I highly recommend just exploring this stuff and just playing with it. For this project, I'm just gonna go with the classic 8-panel cut and fold. So let's start with the cover. I start off by sketching where I want to place the title. Essentially, I just add text onto the page in a lighter color, knowing I'm gonna draw over it later. So at this point, I've already written out my Gumpdank lore. Sorry, I realized I didn't even introduce the island. So I thought Gumpdank was a very fitting and unattractive name. In my house, we've kind of made up the word gumpy to mean we're pissed off at a situation, but not at a person or not at each other. It can mean that we're feeling grumpy in the moment, but it'll pass, in a lighthearted way. Sometimes she gumpy, Sometimes you get gumpy. I wanted to create a place that was isolated and potentially could be placed anywhere in someone's story. So as an island, it could be, in the middle of a vast ocean or in the middle of a lake somewhere, whatever. I wanted it to be desolate, but still accessible by boat or whatever. And for Gumpdank, I wanted it to be a little trashy, a little silly, and kind of stuck in the mud. I needed Gumpdank to be a place that needed saving, with odd little characters that could use some help. After I was happy with the placement of the title, I messed around with some of the drawing tools. I made a vague ocean and a little island lump to start off. Next, I tried out the egg tool and messed with the perimeters to get some random texture. Once I was happy with that, I went to the color factory to play with the filters. To be honest, I just played around with the tools here and there until I stumbled upon stuff I liked. I had a lot of fun playing with the random buttons. I highly recommend it. And if I came across something I didn't like, I could just undo it. When I liked the vibes, I added some looming clouds using the soft brush, the smudge, and the smooshy tool. I really like the smooshy tool. I didn't worry about the title being distorted by the clouds at all, because the plan was always to put the title back over it anyway. You'll see. I just took note of the font size I liked the first time around, and I placed it on top. And that's the cover page done. Almost. I do come back at the very end and add my credit because I forgot to credit myself. Okay, next page. So here I started off just adding color with the bacon tool. I knew I wanted this page to have a funky dark background and just be covered by text for exposition. I played around with the glass stamp tool to just mix up the random colors. It feels a lot like playing with clay or colored sand, and I really love it. At this point, I go back to the color factory and mess with the filters. I knew I wanted something crunchy and dark so that I could overlay bright text on top. For this project, I don't care if it's all perfectly legible, but I do want contrast. It is Gumpdank. Stuff is not going great over there, and neither is their reading material. After a little sinful editing and layout, I go back to the color factory just to mess with the random settings and push the contrast a little further. I accidentally find a filter combination I like and I apply it. It's perfect. Next page. So this page is dedicated to introducing the Gumpwitch. I know I wanted a mysterious silhouette and a tall, tall hat. Started off with another randomish background, and I knew I wanted some sort of sparkling or energy swelling up around her. So these little like yellow shapes were perfect for this. So I add in like a shadow of the text block that I want to put in a dark color. This is just to get an idea of where I want to add the final text, and it helps me see where I need the majority of her portrait to show up on the page. With the dark text below, I can see where my safe space to draw is. I use the pen tool to carefully draw out her silhouette. I hit undo if I need to. Next, I use the custom ink tool to draw with a sort of softer brush and add highlights and shadows. To finish the page, I just add the text I wrote in white. So for this next page, this page is for a character I don't even give a name to, actually. But he sure does like his eyeballs. I decided to try putting the text at the top for this page, just to see what it feels like. To come up with a background, I just scribbled in a bunch of transparent layers, and then used the smoosh to scramble it up a bit. I add a couple more transparent layers of color just to make it a little darker. Next, I sketched out a hat and face. I kept the alpha low and just layered on more and more pen strokes to build up to what I wanted. For details, I made the pen super small and turned the alpha up just a little bit, but not up to a 100. Next, it was time for some glossy eyeballs. After a little more detail and capping it off with a white text block, it's done. Look at that, we're halfway there. Next, it's Gumprat's turn. Like the other pages, I started with a random textured background. The Perlin brush mixed with the Color Factory is a great way to do this. And when I'm happy with the background, I just get to drawing with the custom ink tool. I really wanted a furry, messy, little scratchy creature. So here, I'm just scratching in the silhouette of a critter. I layer on different colors to give her more dimension, but I keep it real sketchy and messy. You might notice I forgot to plan out my text block before drawing. But that's okay, because we got really lucky and it fit perfectly. The next page is about the mysterious tea that's offered by the Gumpferner. You can only drink it once, but what could that mean? For a weird background, I use the Perlin brush again. I think it's becoming a favorite. And just to use a new tool, I mess around with the dotted tool and create a basic shape with a speckled texture. By the way, I love that there's just a little ant for this tool. I love her so much. Next, I draw over that shape with a pen tool to kind of define more pieces of the teapot. I wasn't too fussed by the colors of the teapot at this point. I just knew I wanted a deep contrast so that I wouldn't lose the teapot when I brought it over to the Color Factory tool. Whenever I needed to quote unquote erase, I just used a black or navy color from the background to carve it back out. When I was done with that, I came back to the pen tool and I drew a little teacup, some pouring tea, and a little piece of gump fern. Emboldened by not planning the text block for Gumprat, I do it again here. It is much more of a problem though, but it does work out in the end. Here, you'll see me struggling with my worst enemy, my past self and her decisions. It's okay though, I have a few tricks, and I add in the text in navy for now. I go back to the Color Factory to see if I can stumble across an interesting filter. In the end, I only pick something pretty subtle. Second to last page to go. This features the Gumpfish, which is actually a bird. As you can see, I've learned a lesson and started out by blocking my text out. So to try something new, I messed around with the pattern spray tool this time. I can see a lot of fun potential with this. What you do is you draw in this little box and you can mess with all these settings and you have a little instant stamp tool. What's really cool is that you can mix up colors and stuff in it. So I make a mess just to get a feel for a background I want to draw on. I take it to the smoosh zone and we melt all the things. Once I'm happy with the canvas, I go back to the pen tool and I just start drawing out the Gumpfish's double beak. From there, I set the pen to low alpha so I can slowly build up color and draw in shadows. It got to a point where it wasn't feeling threatening or chaotic enough, so I played around with the goldfish tool and added some ripples. And honestly, it was at this point that the bird's pose actually came to light. I thought the lower right light green shape accidentally looked like the top part of a folded wing, and the blue banana looking shape on the lower left kind of looked like a colorful patch of feathers on like the chest part of a bird, so I went with it. With the text for our Gumpfish finally added, it's time for the last page. So on this page, there's a mention of a missing prince and a deeper mystery plaguing the island of Gumpdank. I won't go too into it, but I really wanted to leave readers with a final page that's full of clues about this cast of characters. This is the only page I sketched out on a piece of paper before trying to recreate it in Zine Maker, just because I really wanted to get it right. If you look carefully enough, you might just find all the threads. And if you and your adventure party ever visit, maybe you can do something about it. And finally, the text. That is Gumpdank Island done. Well, almost. I do go back after and credit myself. But anyway, here is where you can save your zine. And here is where you can export either as a digital PDF or as an image file. You can also toggle this to include folding and cut lines if you want. What I need to do is export a PDF so that I can print it and so I can upload it to an itch page so other people can print it too. When you export it as a digital book, it turns your zine into a PDF booklet. There's also this amazing HTML5 reader made by Alien Bob. They stream a lot of weird old games on Twitch, and his YouTube channel covers a bunch of really cool and retro trash. Finally, it's time to print. By the way, I did not design Gumpdank to be printer friendly, not at all. It turned out to be more of an exploration into the drawing tools that are available in the Zine Maker. Another cool thing about the Electric Zine Maker is that there's instructions for every type of zine fold. Y'all can watch me fold and cut this little zine. You can go and check out Gumpdank Island right now on itch. You know where to find the links? In the description, of course. I hope this inspires you to make a weird little zine, like all of these people I've mentioned have inspired me. Maybe you can share this with a friend and help inspire them too. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you had fun. Like and sub. Bye bye.